Welcome to the Pontification Pals podcast. I'm Chase.
And I'm Noah.
And we're the Pontification Pals.
We bring deep biblical pontifications to life with a lighthearted and fun twist with special guests each week. Real stories, real truths, real fun.
Let's get to it.
Hey, we are nailing it now.
I only had to look once at the paper.
I know. I'm getting to get it almost memorized after 15 episodes.
I'm not at all.
Or so. I
There's
guess it's
no
episode
room left
14.
in my brain for that.
Was there ever much room in your brain there?
No.
Short-term memory is down. Hey, I kind of jazzed it up for Christmas a little bit more. What do you think?
I like the lights.
Yeah. Well,
Even though you had those last time.
I know. It's the one thing that I didn't actually change. I added a couple of, actually 3 Haitian Christmas ornaments. These are made by people in Haiti from oil barrels and magazines. It's like a fundraiser that Matt Reese's did.
Magazines? Like
this here.
Like a People magazine?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I've got a cool stained glass window, West Center Baptist light here, and a stocking.
Wow.
And we got a handmade Terry Logan nativity set.
Yep.
Pretty sure they listen, so shout out to Terry Logan.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And and I added one more Christmas tree, so we each have one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have gold berries, I have red, because you're gold in my eyes. Stay pony, golden boy.
Yeah, exactly. Stay pony. And it's funny because my favorite body armor flavor is Goldberry.
Really?
Yeah, it's Goldberry.
See? It's heaven sent. Mm-hmm. Love it. Awesome. Yeah, we're pretty close to Christmas here at the release of this episode, so Merry Christmas all, and to all a good night.
Yeah.
Hopefully you listen to this and don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You good?
It's the pizza.
That was some good pizza. I didn't have any though.
Yeah.
But the mini corn dogs that you let me sacrificially have. You listened to Justin's sermon Sunday, Gospel Love.
Yeah.
Sacrificial love.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah. Of course.
Awesome. Okay, well, without further ado, you're just going to go actually pontificate through all 150 Psalms in order.
That's true.
Because you did Psalm 1
I realized that, yeah.
And now Psalm 2, so I'm excited to hear it.
Psalm 2.
So give it to us.
My notes are extremely small because of the way it was printed, so if it looks like I'm shoving this paper in my face, it's because I literally cannot read it unless it's right there. So just a little background as to why I chose this is because I guess over the past few days I've been seeing articles about like the protests that are happening in China over the COVID restrictions that are happening. You know, China has had some pretty tough COVID restrictions of people literally being locked in their houses and not being able to leave, and so the people are kind of already fed up with it. And so I'd just been reading articles about that, and I was seeing videos of people like breaking barricades down just to get out of certain sections of the town, and I saw a couple videos of the Chinese police force, whatever they're called. They were, in my opinion, and I don't know the context of these videos, but seemingly peaceful people who were just trying to, live their lives. The police seemed to be really not taking any of it and kind of physically harming them. To try and shut them down, of course, and it just seeing these Chinese police in power, people in power with they had riot shields and all this riot gear, and then just normal people in the streets just trying to protest and ask for freedoms back, just kind of getting dominated, for lack of a better phrase. I don't know.
Yep.
It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you kind of feel bad for people, no matter who it is, whether it's in China or here in America. You see a group being marginalized by people of power, or just people of power abusing their power, and it just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And that's kind of what I got after seeing that. And so I actually did very minimal research, but I found a blog post from chapman.edu. It's .edu, so I'm going to assume it's semi-okay.
Yeah, it's
statistics.
Second only to Wikipedia.
And so it highlights a survey that they conduct every year on about 1,000 random average Americans about what their biggest fears were. And the number one fear 6 years running in a row has been corrupt government officials.
Wow.
And just for the fun, the rest of them were people I love dying, a loved one contracting the coronavirus, people I love being seriously ill, widespread civil unrest.
Those are all 3 together.
Yeah, a pandemic or a major epidemic. economic and financial collapse, cyber terrorism, pollution of oceans, rivers, and lakes, and then biological warfare. So
Wow.
corrupt government officials was like number one 6 years running.
That's unreal.
And I just thought that was very intriguing.
Very telling.
And so I feel like there's other people like me out there who like are more like kind of worried, more so I would say kind of upset when they see people in power abusing their power.
Yeah. And rightly so to some degree.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I just wanted to come to Psalm 2 a little bit.
Okay.
And just talk about, like, what hope do we have when we see powerful people that are corrupt or are using their power in ungodly ways, in unjust ways, in unrighteous ways, in kind of like what we see just kind of all over the world with, like, world leaders of just, there's some people that just, want it all. They want all the power they can get. And so Psalm 2 is what I turned to, and so I'm going to try and walk through it rather quickly and just kind of share the hope that I found in it. So I'm gonna open this piece up here in the Bible.
Love it. There's also lots of, as I've been going through the Proverbs with men's Bible study on Thursday mornings, there's lots of Proverbs that talk about just like either good or bad leaders, and then the results of those, like a good leader, the people will love, or with a righteous leader, people will rejoice. With a bad leader, things like that. And
So in verse 1, the author of the psalm, who in the psalm it doesn't actually state who it's authored by, but in Acts chapter 4, it's explained and it's stated that David wrote it because it's addressed as a psalm of David when they quote it. But he starts off with a question, so I'll read verse 1 right now. It says, "Why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain?" And so we start off with this question, and immediately, my first question to this verse was, what are they doing? What are the nations actually doing? What is this vain plotting that's happening? And I think verses 2 and 3, David kind of expands on what they're doing, so I'll just kind of read those out. He says, "The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together, against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, 'Let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us.'" And so now in verses 2 and 3, we see that the nations and the peoples who are plotting and the kings of the earth and the rulers are setting themselves up against the Lord. They're setting themselves in opposition to the Lord and against his anointed, which in David's time was himself. He was the anointed king. And we will talk about who's the anointed king in all reality.
You're holding me in suspense.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
I'll try and hold it together.
But these people are setting themselves against what God has decreed and against the man who God had established to be king. And so, the kings and rulers, they take counsel against God because they want to remove the bondage of God's commandments that were over them. It says, "Let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us." They don't want these bonds that come with God's law to be imposed on them. And I have a quote from Matthew Henry from his commentary on this. It says, "They will be content to entertain such notions of the kingdom of God," and this is talking about these kings who have set themselves against God.
Okay.
"They will be content to entertain such notions of the kingdom of God and the Messiah as will serve them to dispute of and to support their own dominion with. If the Lord and his anointed will make them rich and great in the world, they will bid them welcome. But if they will restrain their corrupt appetites and passions, regulate and reform their hearts, and reign over them," wait, hold on. "Reform their hearts," it's so small.
It is.
"Hearts and lives," okay. So reform their hearts and lives, "and bring them under the government of a pure and heavenly religion. Truly then, they will not have this man to reign over them." And then he cites a passage in Luke, which I just won't get to because of time. But it says, "Christ has bands and cords for us. Those that will be saved by him must be ruled by him. But they are cords of a man, agreeable to right reason, and bands of love, conductive to our true interests. And yet against these bonds the nations quarrel." And so these bonds of love that Christ gives us, and these bonds of, he calls them he says they're conducive to our true interests. So, the laws that the Lord has put in place are put there for us and for, our ultimate good.
Right.
And so that's what they're raging against.
And I think that's passage is so true, not to get too controversial here, but I feel like probably has been leaders, even perhaps presidents in our nation's history, especially in, the middle 1900s, when Christianity, going to church and that kind of thing was kind of a popular thing, that maybe kind of used that as a platform of, I'm a Christian, and then, to get voters and such, when really probably their life didn't prove that. But it was like you were reading from his commentary that it provided gain for them. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing kind of a reverse of that, where being a Christian is not a good thing. So a leader or, politician probably isn't going to say that they're a Christian, even if they are, perhaps. I mean, maybe if they're nominal Christian, because our culture now is not providing a benefit for that.
Yeah.
But awesome. Keep going.
And so these kings of the earth are setting themselves against God. And I know that for me, if people were setting themselves against me and against what I stood for, like, of course, that would instill probably fear into me.
Yeah.
And David experienced that with people literally pursuing him unto death, even his own son.
Yeah, right.
And so this next verse in the psalm is very interesting when you see that these people are positioning themselves against God. In verse 4 it says, "He who sits in the heavens laughs, and the Lord holds them in derision." And I just read that, and I just cannot believe that. Like, that is, like, these people are seriously, like, in their hearts, they're like, we got to get rid of God. His anointed is terrible. All of his rules are bad. And in their hearts and in their minds, I believe they think they can truly overcome that.
At some points, they probably think they have.
Yeah, at some points, they probably think they have. And then God is literally, as they're doing this, laughing and holding them in derision, mocking them.
Yeah. And
so I kind of viewed that as like, in Tom and Jerry, when Tom is chasing Jerry around and he always fails to catch him, and then Jerry, like, is all smug and laughs at him. And it's like, nice try.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to do here?
Right.
Clearly, you're not going to catch me.
Tweety Bird.
Yeah.
Sylvester the cat tries to. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like,
that's funny. That's a good connection.
The people who sit and, plot against Christianity and, even hate God, it's like anything that they attempt to do, God is sitting there and he's holding them in derision.
And we find even when they kill his people.
Yeah, even when they kill his people.
You actually made it better for them.
Yeah, it's like, thank you, I guess. I don't...
Right.
But I just think that's like a nice way to view. It helps us frame and gain perspective of how God is thinking about and kind of responding to earthly kings who we see that are going against his righteousness and going against his perfect judgments that are in his word, is that they might try and destroy all Christians. Like, if it's back in Nero times, like, even when that was happening, there's a sense that God was literally laughing and holding Nero in derision. He's like, what do you think this is you think this is actually gonna stop me?
Right. And
so it's very encouraging to see that God is not fazed by people setting themselves against him. And then from there, in verses 5 through 9, we kind of get a glimpse as to God, as who God's king is, because we have these earthly kings and we have God's king. And Psalm 2 is very interesting because it's a psalm written by David, and so a lot of the stuff written here was for David, who was God's anointed king here on earth. But then in the New Testament, we see that, yes, while this was ultimately said about David in the Old Testament, now we know that the Holy Spirit was actually speaking about the one to come and fulfill perfectly what David was meant to be, which was, a king, which he failed to be perfectly, but Christ comes to fulfill it. And so I'll just read 5 through 9 here. It says, Then God will speak to them in his wrath and terrify them in his fury, saying, As for me, I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will tell of the decree. The Lord said to me, and this is David saying this, so the Lord said to David, You are my son, today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your heritage, and the ends of the earth your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron, and dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. So we see this promise for David here where people are setting themselves against him, that the Lord is going to, basically, he's like, don't worry, David. Like, you are my son. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your heritage. And then he says that these people who are rising up against you, you shall break them with a rod of iron and dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. So he's promising like almost retribution a little bit for this going on. And so I'm sure that comforted David a lot, hearing that.
Yeah.
But ultimately what happens is the New Testament applies these things that were said to Jesus Christ.
Yep.
When it says, you are my son, today I've begotten you.
Hebrews chapter 1, verse 5, we just studied. I just studied that, and I talked about Hebrews a little bit and this is connecting super coolly. It's a new word.
Coolly.
To the pontification I had last time on Ketsia's episode about just viewing Christ, seeing Christ, and it really puts it good to yours, like to see that God, Christ is on the throne, like we talked about in Revelation, where God is on the throne. He is in control of all things. And then, that just helps us when like what you're talking about, worldly kings and knowing that God's on the throne, he's above all. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Hebrews 1 views that, just talking about that Christ, these passages talk about Christ.
Yeah. And so as we, meditate on that, we see that Jesus Christ is ultimately the perfect king that God has anointed. And when we see in the New Testament how Christ lived perfectly, we begin to understand that Christ is the perfect king who is currently ruling. And so it doesn't matter what these rulers on earth are doing, whether it's against us or, maybe it's just they're doing whatever they're doing. But ultimately it's Christ who is going to continue to reign and constantly reign, and that nothing happens apart from God. And so that gave me comfort, because it's so easy to get kind of bogged down with seeing all these negative things that people in power have done throughout the years, throughout history, and just like, man, why are you using your power for evil? But God, Jesus, is a king who uses his power ultimately for good in the purest sense of the word. Mm-hmm. But going on from there, after we see early on in the psalm kind of what the kings on earth are doing, and then we see God kind of talking to and describing his heavenly king. After that, we get a few exhortations for those who are in power on earth. It says, "Now therefore, O kings, be wise, be warned, O rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way. For his wrath is quickly kindled. Blessed are all who take refuge in him." So God's basically saying, like, listen. Like, he's saying that you need to turn to Christ. This is basically what he's saying. It says, kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way. So it's like, turn your affections towards Christ. Turn your affections towards him and you will be saved. It says, blessed are all who take refuge in him. And he's basically, this is the gospel being preached to these people, even though they might not have understood that at the time. And so he's saying, turn to the Lord, serve him with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, trust in him, and you will be blessed if you are taking refuge in him. And so I like how he ends it with, okay, you need to be wise and serve the Lord, talking to kings. And then he ends it with the gospel message. And just a few takeaways are, no earthly king can ever prevail against the king God has established, which is Christ. And people in leadership positions ought to submit themselves to Christ, who is the ultimate king. And then Jesus Christ is the perfect king that we can wait for and long for, and he is ruling as we speak. And so we can cast our fears and anxieties of this world onto him. So that's kind of my quick rundown of Psalm 2.
Wow, that was good.
Thanks.
Good soup. Man, that was one of the best 5-minute pontifications I've ever heard. I'm done feeling bad about my long pontifications.
It's your fault. You started talking in the middle all the time. It's like you added 8 minutes. Trust me.
I'm gonna check on the time on that with Bailey because I feel like I had about 30 seconds of airtime there.
Like you said, when the Spirit starts leading you.
Hey, and it led well. Thank you. That was great.
All right.
I think that'll do some good encouragement.
Thank you. I hope it does.
Yeah.
Encourage me.
Good. I'm glad.
Anyway.
So today our guest.
Let's introduce the guest.
He's someone who's been seen slightly if you've watched YouTube. Heard
a Sasquatch
slightly,
in the background.
A Sasquatch in the background. Very, very, very sneakily escaped into the dark abyss of the back room in our podcast.
To grab a water.
To grab some water and snuck right back in some previously recorded episodes. He got in some deleted scenes in our season 2 opener episode, and has had some audio time from behind the recording platform as Bailey was away a couple of times.
We should just tell his whole story before we introduce him.
Should we tell his testimony for him?
Yeah. No,
so this guest is an avid disc golfer.
Yeah.
This guest also is an avid Mario Karter.
Yep.
For, coining the term "get nicked," which we'll talk about after a bit. So that kind of gave it away. But what else? You got point C there?
Yeah, I got point C. It says he's a converted Methodist, although I put in parentheses that he's a closet Baptist.
Love it. Yeah.
As we'll learn, he wasn't ever actually Methodist.
No, he was fully Baptist. He's a great musician and actually had a huge part in hand in the Joy at the Foot of the Cross album.
Yeah. He's an old roommate of mine and Bailey's and now a current workmate of mine and Bailey's. I don't know about G, but we'll just skip that one for now. And he's an avid video game enjoyer.
Not player, he just enjoys.
Well, you can, I mean, okay. What do you think I'm trying to say here? You know?
I don't.
He enjoys playing game. Okay, that's it. Anyways, welcome to the podcast, Nick Medema.
Hello.
Sorry, you had to sit through 80 minutes of me rambling about nothing.
That's okay.
I got to get more water out of here.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. I don't even know how the whole water bottle.
I don't know how that started.
I think I just made the musical notes in the water bottle, and then you thought it was amazing.
Well, you just blew into it, and then I mimicked the sound of you blowing into it.
That's right, because you just have a musical ear.
Well, I guess.
And then just now every time we go ooh.
Let's get a few of these. Let's get a few of these bumped off here. So first of all, I just want to say that point A under our introduction of you says disc golf, and that's only because of me. Noah had put frisbee golf on the paper, and that was sacrilege.
Yeah.
And so I had to go in there and
fix
are
different.
Sorry.
Largely different.
Yeah, I know. Unknowledgeable people talking about stuff they don't know about.
I never claimed to have know anything about it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So how long you been disc schmolfing?
Probably, I think. Haven't been doing that very long. But disc golfing.
Wow.
As probably I think maybe 2.5 years-ish.
Is that all?
2.5, 3 years.
I think only.
That's impressive.
2.5, 3.
I've been doing it way longer than that, and I'm still way worse than you are.
Well, I just got really nerdy about it and started watching.
Yeah, it's been almost 3 years now.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
That's what happens with me. I get nerdy about something, and then I'm like,
hey, that's good.
I'll
Get
just do a
passionate
ton
about
of
it, and then get
I don't know. I just find it a lot of fun, and it's good exercise, and
I agree.
Yeah, and it's really addictive when you actually start playing well.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I want to keep playing because I just got a lot of birdies.
Yeah, look at you doing frisbee golf down here again.
Did he do it again?
He did do it again. Oh, I did.
Oh, man.
All right, well,
sorry.
Yeah, and you said something about you start getting into something and then you deep dive into it.
Yeah.
I agree. I do that, but it's in 2 week spurts of I'm really interested in this. Then I watch 75 YouTube videos and then I'm like, I'm over it. I did that with blacksmithing.
Really?
There's a literal month where I was like, I think I'm gonna buy a forge and an anvil.
No
I might do. Yeah.
Yeah.
When was this?
In the summer, maybe.
Recently? This last summer?
within the past 2 years.
No way.
I think that's why you and I get along, because I literally all throughout my childhood, I've been that way. I've been interested. If I listed off all the things I've been interested in,
do it now.
It would be an infinite list.
There's been many weird, and they're weird things.
Yeah.
Too.
I know.
Speaking of, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that. What I just remembered about you later.
Oh boy, I'm scared.
So we'll skip past the get nicked thing till later.
Yeah, get nicked. Well, I got get nicked down below.
Yeah, that's why.
Should we just do his guest questions?
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say.
Wait. I got one.
Okay.
I got one before we do that.
Go for it.
What are your top 3 favorite video games?
I don't know. It's difficult because I like go in waves of what I'm playing. But of course, Minecraft is a classic.
Yep.
That's one that I always come back to. I don't
Good.
think I can ever not be interested in playing that game.
Yeah.
Terraria is a recent one for me. Just really addictive and fun.
Terraria.
Yep,
Yeah.
Terraria.
It's like Minecraft but 2D and
Except for
and
it's
better.
also very different. And everyone says that, but it's like
it's for the layman.
yeah, yep, it is for the layman.
For those that call it frisbee golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also recently I've been playing Call of Duty again, which
Let's go.
not the most healthy game to play.
love
Pretty
Call of
toxic,
Duty.
but
So good.
it's
Anyway,
fun. So
Good soup. Anyway, should we get
I
in
like
there?
to play shoots and ladders.
I bet you do, yeah.
and watch Andy Griffith.
Last time was Dick Van Dyke. Now
Yeah,
we're on
you-
Andy Griffith. I like it. I've
I
actually
only
been
know,
watching
like,
a lot of Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, that one actually looks really fun to watch.
It
I've
is
never
fun to
seen
watch. You should.
it. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Is there life lessons in every episode?
Well, there could be,
Yeah, well.
I suppose. I was just gonna say that good shout out. We talked about it earlier, but we had Severin on earlier this season.
Oh,
He was the artistic voice behind.
Oh, did we even say the name of the episode? Do we usually do
Well,
that?
we can when we get to the actual.
Yeah. You're
topic.
right. I'm like dumb or something.
No, you're fine. Layman.
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 Oh.
Excuse me.
So, anyways, Severin was the artistic genius behind Joy at the Foot of the Cross. Nick was the musical genius, giving lots of musical ability through piano and then recording,
Yeah.
even though I started to get a little crazy there.
I've
But,
just been very
You went
impatient.
into default Noah mode.
Yeah, right. I also get obsessed with things in a very short, but I'm more
Deeply
like the Chase
intense.
thing.
But you fully commit.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
that's the
100%.
difference between you and me. You get
Yeah.
interested and commit.
You just watch YouTube
I just watch
videos.
YouTube videos and live through people.
I see. I don't watch
Yeah.
YouTube videos. I just find somebody who can do it for me, like Nick.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, I have this great idea. I bet Nick can do that.
Yeah.
Versus watching a
Yeah.
5-minute YouTube video on how to record through the sound system.
Binkin'
Oh boy, yeah.
But thank you for your work. I thought that turned
Yeah.
out really good. I still enjoy listening to those songs.
It was a lot of fun.
And
So-
it was really good. It was fun listening. I really enjoyed when we recorded with Victor, and then you guys
Yeah.
made up kind of that
That was
random
a lot of
funk
fun.
song. That
Yep.
was pretty fun. Just having a couple of creative musicians that are able to just kind of go off and
Yeah.
I'm not restricted by the music and the notes and the sheet music and everything.
Yeah.
It was just fun, and we'll get to that later in our topic a little bit. But so
Yeah.
thank you for your work in that. Thanks for
Yeah.
filling for
No
Bailey
problem.
a couple times.
Yep.
And
Hopefully I didn't screw it up too bad. A couple times where I didn't have quite the same equipment as he does, so it was just like I was like the Walmart version. I had to
What is Bailey then?
big ups to Apple. Yeah, well I don't know
How do
about
you feel
that.
about
I
Apple?
wouldn't go that far, but
Yeah, you're an avid Apple user, aren't you?
Okay.
no. Well,
Should we get to the
I
questions?
kind of wanted
Anti.
to hear how he felt about Apple.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we
get
get to
into
the
my
gu-
anger and rage later.
Let's get
Why
to
did the
the
nations rage because of Apple?
Yeah.
Why did the Knicks rage? Okay, yes. we
the
can get to-
questions.
You're blue.
Yeah, I know I'm blue.
It's all on the front page.
I'm just give me 5 seconds. Sheesh.
Well,
Give
last
me
time you
5
said give me
seconds.
5 minutes, and you took 15. So
When you're spitting gold, it's hard to. I'm just kidding.
Hard to
ate some of
stop. Yeah.
Dude, these are not real gold berries. You
boy.
cannot eat those.
Favorite movie.
This was I looked at the sheet earlier when you guys were talking, and this was still a difficult one for me. One that comes to mind, though, I don't really watch movies that often, so it's hard, but one that comes to mind is Bruce Almighty.
Have you seen the Evan Almighty? The
Yes,
one-
I have. Oh, my goodness. Just
Bruce Almighty. That's
there's scenes in there that are just insane.
It's very theologically correct too.
Yeah,
Yeah, God
very.
is a black man with a
Extremely.
very good voice.
He's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, but I remember,
Morgan Freeman.
oh, just that movie is. I mean, I think the thought behind the Christian stuff in it is good largely. Like they don't. I mean, so there's movies that are like the opposite, where they basically give Christianity a terrible name and stuff. But I think that they did a good job of having it be a funny movie, and Jim Carrey is just
Yeah, Jim
so
Carrey.
funny. But
Kim Jerry.
yeah, I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Want to hit that one up,
Yeah.
Yellow?
What about a favorite hymn or church song? And we'll probably get to this later as well a little bit. But
This is another one that, as far as like old hymns, I haven't really thought about too much, but one that I like kind of actually learned about relatively recently. My dad kind of showed it to me because it's an older song that he knew, and is "Abide with Me." It's like I don't know what hymnal it's from, or there's probably a million versions of it, but that was one that I enjoy like playing and hearing. So
Sicky.
yeah.
Sicky's Garage. They make good food.
They do.
Yeah.
Speaking of food, I'll talk about that after you talk about the next
I
one.
was about to say, you don't usurp me right now. So apart from the word of the living God, what is your favorite book in general?
My favorite book. Also a difficult question because I don't read nearly enough as I should. Thing I feel guilty about not doing.
Don't worry, this isn't a podcast to bring you down about everything you don't do.
Well, it's just happening naturally.
As much as you want
to.
to.
Yeah. Well, what is my favorite book? I guess I don't know if I have a favorite, but I'll say a lot of the books that we've gone through in various book studies and Bible studies and things have been really enjoyable and really valuable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should shout out one of the books that I got recently from Doug Sims.
He'll probably skip past this part.
Yeah,
You'll never hear this
you
part.
probably won't hear this part, Doug, if you skip. Yeah, but
Called out.
that's how you thought Anna was pregnant. She's not. But yeah,
Which she's not, it was a dog.
yeah, it's a dog. They're not having a child right now. But yeah, so no, yeah, but Doug gave me a book about prayer recently, and I've been reading it. I should read it more at this point, but
I've been reading a different book on prayer.
yeah, yours is really good. Isn't
Equally as valuable.
it? Yep. Sure. But that's been a really good book to read for me.
So your favorite book is not Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
No,
That's
it-
top
it is
4 for
not.
me.
Definitely is not.
That is a good book, though. Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fell off. The series fell off after like book 7.
Did it? Yeah.
Yeah, it really did.
Have you read that many of them? Mm-hmm. Wow.
What do you think I am, some chump?
Some chump.
I was there.
Oh,
I was
man.
there, first in line at Barnes & Noble to get Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2, Roderick Rules.
Roderick Rules.
Was that one blue?
Yeah, it was blue.
No way. That is hilarious.
Oh man.
That's when I lived in Fargo.
You lived in Fargo?
Yeah, for 5 years. Okay, I'm not the one being interrogated here.
Interrogated. Yeah. Yeah.
I know the answer to this.
What is your favorite food?
I know the question. I
What
know
do you
the
think
answer.
it is?
My favorite.
He's gonna say it, and I'll tell you if I was right. Shh, I'll be
Whisper it in my
honest.
ear.
I
I'll
don't
be
know.
honest.
Okay.
I don't even know my favorite food. What do you?
This isn't gonna be it because it's the only food.
Okay.
That is not.
I said white chicken chili, and that's because that's the only food his mom has ever made me.
Oh my goodness. It is good. It's very good.
Have you been there multiple times?
Yeah, I've been there. Well, I mean, I guess your dad grilled burgers, which were
Yeah.
good, which is probably my favorite food. Any burger anywhere.
Man, I don't know what's wrong with me with not having favorites. I just like don't think about that very often.
How
but
about
That'll be
you?
good when you have
it's
How about the 2x2x2?
yeah.
How about high chews that are not sugar free?
high chews that are not sugar free. You did a good job with that. I was worried. When I opened it.
When he said, "Are they sugar free?" I was like, "Oh shoot, does he need to have sugar free?"
No.
I thought I did a bad thing.
No,
Yeah,
I
you
need
did
to
actually.
not have sugar free.
Are they not good?
No, they're great.
No, they're not sugar free.
Oh yeah, they're terrible.
Are they?
They're so bad. They
It's just like diet soda. It's like
Yeah.
Why? Why even?
it's so good.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made non-sugar.
so
or
you
sugar-free
know how the
ones.
high chews have the middle part?
Yes.
The sugar free ones.
They don't have those?
There's no middle part.
Well, then it's not even a high chew. It's like
Exactly.
a high.
It's
Or
literally
a chew.
He's
it's-
getting high.
It's the most just
Plain.
dull,
Yeah.
annoying taste compared to the real ones.
Your favorite
Thanks,
spring apple,
Japan.
right?
That
Or do
is
you
a
just-
good one. I like that one. I also like grape.
Yeah, my
Or
favorite
strawberry.
mango. You just
Yeah.
listed them
List
all.
all the flavors. Yeah. They're very good. I could eat many of them.
Yeah.
What about your favorite supper food? If you were gonna die
specifically
right
supper.
now, what would you
What would your
want?
last
It
supper
wouldn't
be?
even have to be your favorite. Just what do you want right now?
Yeah, Last Supper.
I mean, we just had Thanksgiving, and I really enjoy the nice home cooked meals like that. Just very, very like well-rounded meals with vegetables and stuff that I wouldn't eat normally because I'm too lazy.
Facts.
Yeah.
I'm there.
For all of us.
That is never gets old. Is
Yeah.
having meals like that.
Yeah.
So I would say it's probably
Right, yeah.
not very specific, but
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd say right now for me, the number 33 at Lowe's Tops is
Oh,
just, I
it's
want
number
it. I
30.
want it. It's
32
chicken.
is good too.
The 33 is chicken and queso, like little chicken bites with queso, and then mixed vegetables.
Huh.
Ooh, so good. Anyway, favorite vacation. Oh, I might know this one.
Favorite vacation. So probably one of my favorites was going to the Black Hills.
Yep, I
That's the
remember.
most recent favorite
That's
one.
the one I was thinking of.
I'm hoping that my family will go on a vacation to some other interesting place.
Yeah.
Relatively soon, but it costs a lot, so
Yeah.
we'll see what
Who'd
happens.
you go to the Black Hills with?
Just my parents and
Oh, fun.
my brother and sister. So yeah.
Recently?
It was like 2
this-
years
Oh,
ago.
a couple years ago, okay.
Yeah. So and that
Did you
was
go to
really
Wind
fun.
Cave?
No,
we did not.
You should go
Wind
to
Cave?
You should.
Not Wind Cave.
Wind Cave.
You didn't
Is
go to
this-
Wind Cave?
How do I get
He's
out of
doing
this
a
trap?
bit. You just have to ignore him.
Oh,
For the next question.
next question, please.
Have you ever been to Wind Cave?
Is that your
No.
dumb random
No,
question?
it's not. My random question is, what is the weirdest thing you've ever been obsessed with?
Okay.
I know what it is.
Do you know what it is?
Probably.
Oh, I know what it is.
Okay.
Did it have to do with you in elementary school? Or like
Well,
middle
I mean,
school?
there were many things in
Okay.
elementary school that I was interested in.
I think I know what it is.
I think probably what you're thinking of is
Pest
I used to
dispensers.
not
Listen,
pest
no,
dispensers.
you're gonna love this.
I used to be interested in fire alarm systems, like
Yes!
big time. Like it was, I own a couple of fire alarms, like real commercial fire alarms that would go in a building. And don't ask me why. I mean, I just like
That's awesome. Didn't your
Yeah.
dad,
I
Bailey?
installed them,
You did.
Yeah.
You
He-
installed them too for your dad. That's right. Yeah.
He wanted to be a fire alarm technician.
I
You
literally
could have got
wanted
an
to.
in.
yeah.
You still could.
You have an in
Yeah.
into the
My
industry.
dad in Georgia,
No.
you'll get paid less than you do now.
Oh boy.
Deal.
Worth
done.
it, worth it.
Yeah.
And you'll be paying more for rent.
But
than
you'll
you
feel
do
better
now.
about
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, that was one of many various weird
That's awesome.
things that I found cool. I think that's probably why I work in computer science stuff
Closest
right
thing
now.
you can
is-
get to fire alarms.
Well, it's just another thing where
Another
I work with
technological
electronics.
tool.
Yeah. I just something about that just really interested me as a
That's
kid.
cooler than wanting to be a ninja or a football player because it's actually something that's real attainable.
Yeah. And
Not that you can't
it's
be
a
a
real
football
job.
player, young child. It's just, you actually got to be good.
And I got super nerdy with it. Like, I mean, believe it or not, there were channels on YouTube. Like, back when I was interested in it, there were literally channels on YouTube dedicated to, like, people just only a little bit older than me. Like, there were literally 12-year-old kids on YouTube that somehow convinced their parents to let them buy, like, an entire fire alarm system and set it up in their house.
Christmas gift.
And I remember watching those videos thinking,
want
that
it.
is the best thing ever. Like, I want that now, but it costs way too much. and
That's
it's-
so good.
Yeah.
They can get expensive.
Yeah, it's like people, I went on eBay and for $1,000 I bought a control panel. And I was just thinking, man, I want it.
That's so good.
Everybody else wants like Power Rangers toys or like
And then I'm just like,
Hot Wheels, and Nick's like, "Give me a fire
I
alarm
want it.
system."
Yeah, I want a commercial fire alarm system. Yeah.
I want it. Huh?
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
suit.
Oh man, what was your earliest obsession?
Probably one of the earliest things I can remember is like boat engines, like boat motors, outboard boat motors. I used to like those
awesome.
too.
You have manly
You
interests.
were, yeah.
And they're weird too.
Inside of you roars the heart of a.
Like I used
lion.
to think school buses were really cool too. Like and
Everybody
one
else
of
saw
my-
the school bus like spit wide and then like all these things, and Nick's just like looking at the intricate design of like, this is
just like,
interesting.
oh, look at that bluebird, whatever, or something. And I list off the exact model.
This
Hey,
one's
by
a max
internet-
capacity.
I remember
Yeah.
the first time.
It's like all those people with the train models. And
Yeah.
Yes.
I gotta tell
people
you-
do it with all these random items.
Yeah,
You-
trains are cool too. Trains are cool too. Yeah,
What?
Tell me.
You have to confirm this or not, but the first time you flew, The first time you flew, I swear you came back from that adventure being like weird. You knew too much about airplanes for someone. You're like, oh, is that the Boeing 737? Oh, that's that A56 model. And I'm like, how do you even know any of this?
Yeah, anybody who hangs out with me too is like cars. I've always that's another thing too. Like I think it just vehicles in general has always been a thing that I've just had a weird. Like I've attached to the details. Of it.
Well, I noticed that like with architecture and buildings too. Like, are you still into making the mocks of like your house, like and stuff like that?
3D modeling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I just like.
I could eat this stuff too.
I think I said something about being interested in civil infrastructure once, and someone made fun of me for that. Well, they thought thought it was weird.
Were you in middle school?
Like, hey, I probably.
Yeah. Hey, without civil infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah. It's like
cities
and the civil.
For the civil.
Yeah, I know.
Like city planning and stoplights, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, we should get rid of those. Don't you think?
Yeah. Then we can just run them.
Yeah.
Do roundabouts everywhere. Okay, your random question.
My random question is Void Ray Rush, Imba or Ba?
Well, I don't know what that means at all.
Void Ray Rush, Imba or Ba?
Or? Is that an or?
Yeah, or Ba. Imba or Ba?
Ba, for sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Guaranteed.
Danke.
Danke.
That was my question.
Is that it?
Yeah, what was my random question? You're acting weird.
Okay, next.
Well, yeah.
All right, now we can get into the stories of unfortunatism.
Get necked.
Yeah. Here we go. Hop on the train.
Dartboard.
Dartboard, yeah, that's right.
Which ones do you want to go every other?
I'll do the first two if that works, and then you can do.
Yeah,
See, well,
you can.
You don't know what B is unless you have a.
Nah, yeah, you can take B.
Okay, so this all started.
Oops, didn't mean to do that.
So one kind of quick lawn story to get to the
Quick lawn.
That's my
That's an
specialty,
oxymoron.
quick lawn.
Yeah.
So
You talk quickly, but it's very long.
that's very true.
Oh, man.
Then I can fit more my words per minute. I want them to get up to 70 words per
Oh my
minute.
gosh, yeah.
So
Back to it.
back when we started the Thursday night Bible study, for a long period of time, it was mostly just me and Nick and Nathan, and then Bailey would be there once in a while as well. And but one night it was just me, Nick, and Nathan in Nathan's apartment, and we were talking about early on in Matthew, and I don't even know how there was something about demons in waterless places. And I was talking about how I didn't really understand it, and Nick's basically like, well, it makes perfect sense to me. But he didn't say it. The way he said it, I just took it out of context and made it worse than it was. This is mostly me just making...
Bullying.
Yeah, bullying. But earlier we had done and there's a recording of video, about 10 minutes of the song American Pie by Don McLean, which happened to play at the place we were eating tonight, which was confirmation that this
Pretty
recording...
crazy, yeah.
And so it was me basically just doing a bunch of tomfoolery on how American Pie is actually a gospel song and just like put meaning into the song. And then Nick would just sit there and laugh and like talk about the weird things I said. And so from that Matthew Bible study, we then transitioned to my place and we did Mario Kart typically after every Bible study. And Chase is a wizard at Mario Kart, and Nick is really good too.
Unfair.
And
You just got to be good.
it really is.
Yeah.
And so we got to a point. I think it was one night. Nick was just playing on his own, and he's
sorry,
in first.
it's so
He's in
funny.
first place, and like I don't know, 100 feet from the finish line, he gets blue shelled down to fifth, gets red shelled, I think, down to like seventh, and then that red shell as he's going hits him and it knocks him into like the upright like finish line, how that's got the middle post, knocks him into that. So like 3 more people pass him. He went from like first to 10th in like 20 seconds.
Oh, sorry to laugh.
And we
but
were
it's
laughing
so
so hard.
So
And
depressing.
it's the only reason it's funny is because like Nick did absolutely nothing wrong. It's just like the game hates him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially someone that loves Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And he just
an
complained the
abusive,
whole time
depressing,
throughout
abusive relationship.
about how much the game would hate him. He's like, "Oh, come on," and stuff, and then he would end up in like first place or second place still. But then that time it just
So,
wrecked
yeah.
him.
Terrible.
We coined that getting
Yeah,
nicked.
and I think
Yeah.
Severin has a shirt
Even though
too
the
that says
technical
"Get
term
Nicked,"
is-
Does he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The technical term is getting Mario Karted.
Yeah, I've heard other people that play the game say getting Mario Karted, which basically just means
Getting
getting
nicked.
extremely unlucky in the game, which happens pretty often.
Yeah.
So,
And so
yeah.
one story I remember of unfortunatism of getting nicked is when me and you went to play round of frisbee golf at Bauman, and I don't know if we played 1 round or 2 rounds. I think it was maybe 2 rounds. We were halfway through the second round, and we look off to the west, and it's like dark blue. We're like, "Oh, that's crazy," but it was going
yeah.
north. We're like, "Oh, we're fine." We get to like hole 6, and now another one is coming from the south. We're like, "Oh boy, wrap it around."
Sandwich.
So we
Yeah.
just went like fast. And I think I parred hole 9, and it was on your second throw. All of a sudden, like 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts just come up, and so
Oh.
you like literally just toss it and it like blows it away.
Yeah,
so
like
you got
I-
like a 7 or something.
It was insane.
it was unreal, and we just got to our cars, and it just starts downpouring.
Yeah, and big drops. Like
Oh, yeah.
almost painful rain. And I was just thinking, this is dangerous.
That'll hurt you.
Yeah, but
But the wind just comes up like right after I finished.
remember putting?
before.
Like I
Oh
think
yeah,
I tried to putt.
You did.
I literally
you
like,
had like you went 6 over on hole 9, which is a par
yeah,
3.
I was like holding my putter and it was going like this. And then I let it go and it just like went behind me.
Oh man. If anyone here does not know what disc golf is, go watch a YouTube video.
And type in frisbee
Yeah.
golf.
Jomez Pro.
Yeah, go up.
specifically.
Yep, Jomez Pro.
Go
and
watch
you'll-
Jomez Pro.
Yeah, you can watch the pros and then you'll be like, I should never play this sport because those guys are already too good.
Yep.
Have you ever gotten an ace?
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
Yep.
On Herman Bauman?
I think I was
I
there.
think I've gotten I've gotten an
there.
ace at every course.
I was there when you aced.
Wow.
Yeah, as far as I know.
One of them.
But
Yeah.
yeah, strokes of luck, I guess, each time.
I hear you.
100% skill.
100% skill. Yeah,
A lot of skill there. You gonna cover point
it's
C?
a lot of fun.
Y'all cover point C.
I got point D.
Oh.
You could tag team it. We can tag team it.
Yeah, you get F at the end. That's a U thing. Can I get C and D
Well, okay, fine.
since you get F?
Yeah, that's fine.
She. I don't even know. A, B, C, D.
Oh, I wonder
Yo,
what
for
E
real, what
was.
happened to E?
Shoot.
Well,
Hopefully it
guess we'll
wasn't
never
too
know.
Maybe it was
So
about Nick at Bailey School.
there's a phrase
yeah.
that was also coined at Bible study, at the Matthew Bible study. One, because Nick would bring his NIV student study Bible to use, which there's literally nothing wrong with, other than the fact that we're terrible friends and have to make fun of people who aren't using the ESV translation. And so we would just joke around with him like, oh, wow. It's like you're using your NIV. And then
That's so
we
NIV.
talked about the mathematics of forgiveness earlier in season 1.
Yep.
And that came from his study Bible. And so we coined the phrase, that's so NIV. For when you read something that's pretty corny. If you read something that's pretty corny of like, oh, we're going to relate forgiveness to mathematics and we're going to call it the mathematics. It's
As
like,
many as
that's...
6 or 7.
Yeah,
6 or
that's when you
7, yeah.
drop the phrase "that's so NIV" is when it's just corny.
Yeah.
and it's like, oh,
Biblical
that's so
corny.
NIV. That'd be in an NIV study Bible. So that's where that was born. Yeah, we can tag Team D. I feel bad for boxing you out.
It's okay.
So
I just get so excited about that one.
I'll let you. I'll set the
set
setting.
it up.
I'll put the setting. So we were at college group, which is a group of college students that meet every other
life
second or fourth Sunday to like discuss the sermon and talk about questions and
Have
just
a
kind of
meal.
have a meal and dive deeper. So we were there one Sunday. We were all
Basement of the
just
church.
basement of the church. Man, you're doing a better job with this than I am.
I'm just helping
You're
you.
just trying to rush me along.
Quick long story here.
We were in the basement of the church, and the temperature was a cool 70 degrees.
Yeah.
We were all nuzzled into our chairs at our table, and that's when the fateful moment happened. And I will pass that on to Noah. We're in the church. Okay, just we're in the church basement, and we're doing college group.
I think was it just during the meal?
Yeah,
Or
it was during
well,
the eating
Yeah.
time.
Well, it was like
We're
right
in-
after.
It had to have been something around there.
And Nick went to pour water out of the water pitcher into his cup, and the lid just like falls off. The water pours all over his James and his NIV Student Study Bible,
Just terrible.
and just totally
Yeah.
deforms.
At that moment,
James.
that was like, I've never.
gave up.
This is the end of not having to hear about this.
And we had already made fun of you of what would happen to you if you were to go to Bailey's high school back in Georgia, the big one.
Yeah.
And just like how Bailey was talking about how
Here,
I think it was like shoes.
Let's
and stuff.
reenact it. I'll be Nick.
Okay.
And then you do what the Atlanta school people would do if I walked
Should I?
in.
Oh,
Yeah, I do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you mean?
Okay. So you
This is me. I'm
What
Nick,
would
and I
you
walk
say?
in. I'm like, oh, hello, fellow students. Shot dead instantly because it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
And Nick
Yeah.
comes in wearing his V-neck sweater and his
V-neck sweater,
his
yeah.
Vans shoes and some.
I don't know if he
blue
ons
jeans.
Vans. His
Probably
on
not.
clouds.
Maybe if I
Clouds.
wore Vans, then I wouldn't have gotten
Yeah, that's
shot.
true.
If he was- yeah, if he
your
was wearing-
Reeboks.
If he was
Yeah,
wearing Vans, he'd be Atlanta.
I like my pair of them.
Yeah,
Jays.
you would like
Oh
him.
man, just Bailey had a rough school there where fashion was very prioritized. The first school, like the
That, like,
Not the one you graduated.
determines your
That's
worth
just-
as a human
that's
being.
just a lot of the culture around.
yeah
That's just Atlanta.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but I can talk bad about it.
Yeah. Same. Same. Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's
So,
get to F.
the
It
last
says,
thing I have,
oh.
and so today I wore a special tie for you because it's Christmas and you're jolly old Saint Nicholas.
Oh,
And
yep.
so with that, I have a gift
Never.
for you guys.
Nuh-uh.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Nuh-uh.
And this gift goes with. This is so funny. I
boy.
found these at school,
Oh.
and the gift goes with the water bottle thing where we started with. I can't. That was a pretty good one. Ooh. Okay, so this gift I have is for you guys. It's Nick growing up.
Oh, no. You know
The
what's-
sounds of trash.
That actually-
Joe, it is him.
Wait, I think I've actually seen this before.
Show it to the camera.
Oh, this is Nick.
This one.
Oh, this is Nick growing up. Nick, get
You
your
want
face.
to know
Nick.
what's unfortunate about this?
Unfortunatism.
That looks a lot like me, actually. When I was
That guy's got Harry Potter glasses in that photo.
He's blowing
just-
into
man.
a bottle.
I bet you if you moved his bangs away, there'd be
Terrible.
a scar.
See, a bottle can be an instrument.
Let me see that.
That is the most insane thing ever.
what
They
Page,
can be
what page are we
recycled.
on?
You can
On
use them
page
page
five.
5.
Man, I was just right
So Nick,
there.
I've got a stop and check question for you. How can you use recycled things to express yourself?
I'm not telling.
I'm not telling.
You know how I laughed so hard when I found this. I've saved this for like 6 or 7 months
Are you
until you could be
kidding?
on here.
That's
'Cause
not
we got rid
good.
of a bunch of old books at school, and I found this. I'm like, I have to keep this. And I
That
just
is
about forgot.
Pretty
I was like-
insane.
I just thought it was so funny. Little Nick blowing into the bottle just like we do.
People can't
The
talk
ooh.
underwater,
It does-
so scuba divers make signals with their hands.
Minus the
Well,
Harry Potter
well,
glasses.
it
It looks like
But
me.
yeah.
Seeing this is a 20-page book. The last thing I just want to say real quick, the conclusion in the back.
Yeah.
What is the most important thing you learned in the sound of trash, Nick?
Wait, where is that?
Also, I want you to make a
I'm
connection.
genuinely asking.
Where the heck is
Why
I
is it
learned
important to
that,
express yourself?
The chances the stars can align so that there's some kid that looks like me blown into a bottle like that.
What is the
Blown
most-
It's called the sounds of trash.
Why
Yes.
did you
That
ask?
should have been the title of our podcast today.
Yeah, the sounds of
That's
trash.
what you call getting Nick.
Oh yeah.
How to make a trombone?
Let's just
Yeah,
put me
this
right in
book,
the casket.
this book literally is all about
Little
music. How to make a
Little League.
guitar. Pluck.
Little League.
You need a shoebox with a lid, scissors, tape, and rubber bands. You can pluck the rubber bands; they vibrate and make sounds. You can make a trombone, like Chase said. How to make maracas.
Thanks for this. I'm
How to
gonna
make
totally read it.
drums. Look at this kid.
Let me see him. Let me see. Is he the blonde one? Yeah, that guy.
I mean, I love
He was
Yeah.
probably a jerk in school. You know.
So
Yeah.
the last.
Based on how he looks.
Based on
You
how
can
he
play instruments with other kids, Nick.
Yeah, you
And
can't.
play along to music or make your own songs. Put on a concert.
You can't do any of
Express
that.
yourself.
You cannot do that.
It is fun to play instruments.
When
You're
did that
leading
come
children
out?
astray with this. You shouldn't be reading that to
You don't
children.
think
Is that
so?
like a
Kids, don't listen to
scholastic-
Chase. Follow your dream. It's an expository
You
text.
can't. You
It's a
teach people
McGraw
to
Hill.
express themselves, and you won't be able to
I
control
don't know if it's
them.
actually legal to show these pages or not, but
Probably not.
that's all right.
This is the end of the podcast. 'cause we did
As
that.
we know it. What do
Yeah.
you got there? Showing the pages?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, they can't see that.
No.
So
So the sounds of trash lends us perfectly into a nice segue into the guestimony for the week.
Oh my gosh.
Because at One Life, At one point,
At one life.
in a previous life, your life was like trash. But
Yeah.
now, because of Christ, it has become a piece of gold, like these golden berries
Yeah,
in a small way.
Good soup.
that is true.
Yeah.
I just want to eat this.
So, would you want to expand on that? Your guestimony, how
Yeah,
you
there's
came to faith,
A few questions there. Yeah. How you
what it was like growing up,
What it was like growing
when
up.
your faith became real.
when it became real to you,
How did you end up at West
and
End?
like when, how, and at West End.
In what ways have you served in the church?
Yeah.
And how have you been serving?
Yeah.
I think I hear an echo.
Any way
yeah,
that you want to say
yeah,
any of that.
yep.
How do you?
Yeah. So, as far as how I came to faith,
This is going to be the most serious point in the podcast, and I will not
is it?
make fun of you in any way.
Well, thanks.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it.
You should
I
make
hold
that
that near
promise
and dear.
outside of this segment too.
I will. That's going to be my challenge for the week.
Oh boy.
When we get to the challenge of the week, I've got a good one.
Good. Yeah.
So I would love to hear your guestimony, and so would Chase, I'm sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys have maybe heard it a little more than I have.
Yeah. So, this is actually kind of fitting because I was baptized recently as a new member
Yes.
at West Center, and I had
New
to
member
write
Sunday
a test.
coming up.
Yep, coming up, and I had to
Amen.
write a testimony for that. So I really kind of put thought to some of these questions,
It was
which
good,
is
by
good.
the way. I liked
Wow.
Well, thanks. I
So-
tried my best, and I wrote it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And So, as far as how I came to faith, so I was raised in a Christian household, and I kind of Christianity has always really been a part of my life, or at least like in the back of my mind as truth. Like I don't think there was ever a period in my life where I didn't believe that it was true. I mean, there's definitely been like many periods of time where I didn't necessarily, I mean, like there's been times where I straight up was not living my life that way even at all, like not even thinking about it, kind of just like going through the motions kind of, and just not really caring about it, or it was like my faith wasn't my own, I guess. So I went to a Christian grade school and a Christian high school in Northwest Iowa, which I think was a very good thing for me. I think that's kind of what kept the truth of the Bible like just in my head. And if I wouldn't have gone there, I think it would have been much more likely that I would have completely not believed. But yeah, so that was one of the biggest things for me as far as how I came to faith. And also, like, so on my dad's side of the family in particular, my grandpa is a pastor, or he's a retired pastor, in the Christian Reformed Church. And kind of growing up, he was definitely a very motivating person, and just a great role model, I would say.
Were you
Growing
able
up,
to listen to him preach at all? Not to interrupt,
Yep.
but yeah. Okay.
Yep, definitely. And like still to this day, like my family was just at their place for Thanksgiving, and like he's 89 years old, and he still like just has tons of truth. He's so good at like encouraging us, and I would say he's very in tune with the problems that you encounter in your life as a Christian. So he was a pastor for like 60 years.
Wow.
So
Sheesh.
I loved at my Thanksgiving, I got a picture from Nick of his grandpa's NIV expository concordance for Bible or whatever.
Yeah, it was like the NIV exhaustive
Yeah,
concordance, and that was it's like this huge book, and it was just sitting on his table in his study room, and I just saw that immediately when we came in their house, and I was just thinking, that is very much my grandpa that he'd be reading that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, he's a huge role model in my life as far as my faith. And also music. He's a huge role model for music too, because he played piano his entire life, and other instruments. And so, what's another question on here? When did your faith become real? So this is a one that's like, I don't know. I guess I gotta say my faith has become more real since coming to college, really. In high school and grade school, like, it was very good that I went to a Christian grade school in high school for my own like spiritual health. But I would say I was kind of cold during that time.
Lukewarm.
Yeah, very much so. Didn't really think of it as being my own personal thing. It was kind of just I go to school and like I have Bible class and we have chapel and we, have periods of time like we pray at the end of class periods and just kind of actions that you do that are Christian in nature, but not really. I don't know. You don't really think about it as being your own personal relationship with Christ.
It can be easy just to go through the motions and stuff.
Yeah, very much so. But since coming to college and being in Madison and meeting all the people that I've met here, it's really helped me grow. Mostly because like Dakota State University is a public university, and so Christians here are way more likely to actually be real Christians who chose this way of life as their own, and they actually care about it. I felt that there was a lot of people I went to high school with that I don't really think they actually cared about their faith. And I think that, honestly, even maybe their parents who sent them to Christian school might not actually really care so much. Just you can kind of see it by their actions. There were a lot of kids that just, if you would see them outside of school, you would think they went to a public high school. Like there's no outward way to tell. Yeah, there's really no fruit. But I would say like the teachers there were pretty excellent. I think the teachers did a great job of like incorporating the gospel and like preaching the word to us and like making that a part of our day-to-day life at school.
Did you ever talk about forgiveness in math class?
We did not.
Good.
Yeah, that was.
Word problem.
It's funny because like
Yeah.
NIV was like the most used.
Yeah, same. That's what we all used growing up to at West Center as well.
Like I didn't even know about ESV at all until getting to college. No. So, yeah, that's why my NIV study Bible is what I got when I graduated 8th grade.
That's what I have an NIV study Bible too.
Yep.
Incredible.
So what's another question here? How did you
come into West
up,
Center?
How did you end up at West Center?
So through college, obviously,
Yep.
but a little bit.
So
this goes back to the Closet Baptist.
yeah, it does. Yep, which I can briefly touch on. But so I, the first church I actually went to here in Madison was the Methodist church in town, and I got into that through my roommate Bailey, who's behind the camera stuff, and so I don't know if Caleb hasn't been on the podcast, has he?
No,
Yeah.
He's been mentioned.
Someday.
Yeah, he's been mentioned. So one of our other friends, Caleb Dykstra, he was the piano player at that Methodist church here in town, and then he left. He just kind of moved on from that, and I had the opportunity to play piano at that church for, I guess, how long was that until I left? It was like a year and a half or something. Yeah, so a good amount of time, and that was really awesome. I really enjoyed it. So that was really the first church experience I had in town here. But then, so basically all my other friends were going to West Center. So I was there was a lot of influence
Peer
on me to go to that church instead.
Yeah, 'cause
And
I left too.
yeah, you left, and then I was kind of thinking, well, I would like to go as well, but I don't want to leave while I'm the person that plays piano, because it kind of got to the point where I was like the only, at least for the contemporary service, I was the only piano player that they had, and I was playing every Sunday. Mm-hmm. So it kind of was a situation where I didn't want to leave the church there and have them be short a piano player. But I really wanted to come to West Center for quite a while, and now I did, and I'm really glad that I did. It's I think it's strengthened my friendships with people. It's the community at West Center is awesome. I think that they're extremely theologically sound. I think the leadership is great, and it's been a really good thing.
Good soup.
Now you're a member.
Now I'm a member.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
He'll be inducted
you'll be
Sunday.
inducted this.
Well, when this is out, he'll be a member.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully.
I received the letter that said that they voted to make me a member. So.
Okay.
So I'm
You're
glad
in
about
it.
It
that.
was a close vote.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
What? So now, what ways? Moving a little bit, and this will move into our topic talk a little bit. But what ways have you served, or are looking forward to serving, perhaps even in the church at
So
West Center currently?
yeah, so kind of like what I did at the Methodist Church. I at West Center I've been playing on the worship team, so I play piano. That's my main instrument, and that's been a really awesome blessing to be able to play with a lot of really talented people and like use our gifts for the glory of God. It's been a really good thing. That's probably been the main way that I've been serving.
Is there any area you'd like to try? Or
So this kind of goes back to, so my new members meeting, one of the things
sure.
I kind of brought up was like, because, like being a member is a covenant between you and the church. And like one of those things is like, you should try to serve in areas that you can. And I was thinking like, I guess I don't really know necessarily what other areas I'd like to. But I'm open to things that are available. I love the music stuff. That's like definitely one of the number one ways
big
that I
gift in and,
yeah, that's where I feel like I really can. I have a lot to give, I guess, as far as serving goes.
Yep.
But yeah,
Good soup.
Really good soup.
yeah.
You got anything else on guestimony?
No. Don't.
No. Yeah, I've just enjoyed having. I don't know. Did you come to Bible study before you were coming to West Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's been fun having you there. Like I said, in the days when we were kind of thin.
Yeah.
It was always fun. It's always been fun just to hang out. And well, even we had one recently with Katsia, just playing Mario Kart. Like all the, I didn't even. Did we tell him about this? My Wii is like broke now apparently, so we had it in black and white only.
I heard about that.
Yeah, he's got some sort of
Some
video
disease.
glitch.
It's got
thing
cancer.
happening.
OMG.
Yeah, but
Yep.
still works. But so yeah, it's been
Yeah.
fun to see you grow and grow with you and all of us together as brothers in Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good soup.
So yeah, I was happy when you came over
Yeah.
to West Center, shared your giftings with us. Got
Yeah,
right in
I'm
there.
happy
I
too.
mean, you
So,
know,
and I wanted to for a little while. The thing I didn't want to do was come
just
straight
leave
for
cold turkey.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to leave the Methodist Church having been the piano player, like for their contemporary service, and then immediately jump into playing on worship
Yeah, sure.
at West Center, just because I felt it was a little bit, I don't know,
Yeah,
it seemed like I just left
Yep.
and immediately started doing a thing in another church, and I
think that was wise and
yeah,
considerate of you.
and I also wanted to like make sure that I actually liked the church before
Yeah.
I immediately get into it, which is something I would say I didn't do at the Methodist Church, which I should have. I didn't really. It kind of got to the point where I was going there,
Just because
I'm
piano.
playing.
Sure.
which is not the right reason to be going to a church. I will say that. But yeah, so
Well, shall we jump into the topic of the talk?
yeah.
Which is
I came up with
you
this.
came up with this. I'm proud of you. Your first one, I think.
Very excited for having come up with
Yeah,
this.
good job. You did great.
It is Messianic Melodies in E flat minor with Nick Medema.
Oh boy, yeah.
So basically, we're going to be talking about music and Nick's relation to music and how he views music.
This is a fun topic for me, so I'm
So,
excited.
what's your
Yes.
musical background, like when you started and instruments you've played?
So I would say it was really from a very young age. Like my parents, it sounds cheesy and silly, but my parents played a lot of classical music for me, like from an extremely young age. And my dad's side of the family in particular is very musical. So like my dad and his brothers and sisters and my grandparents are really musical people. And I think I know my dad, like he's told me, he really tried to like introduce music to me from a really young age and get me interested in it. But probably around like age 6 or so is when I started playing instruments, mainly piano. And my dad plays piano, or like he does not very often, not as much as he'd like to, but I can remember him showing me piano stuff and getting me interested in it. And I kind of I fell in love with it more or less. I've always loved harmony. I've always loved just listening. I'm listening to lots of different types of music, classical music in particular. And I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where you don't really know why you took to it. You just kind of...
Just natural.
It's from a very young age. Like, I can't really remember any specific... There was no specific time where I just woke up one day and said, I want to try doing... some people like say, I want to pick up this.
Blacksmithing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I still want to. I might do it.
I think you should.
I'm gonna when I have
think
the
I
courage
some
to
tools
drop
at the farm.
Oh, when I have the courage to actually spend the money required, then I'll do it.
I've got one of the big tools that's like that.
And when we
has
have
the
our own
blower on it
place.
that you put the embers on, and then you
Yeah.
blow so that it heats
Yeah,
up.
like it literally, when me and
tongs.
Anna actually get a house to live in that's our own, and we're not renting a townhome, I'm straight up might do it.
You
I just
could go
see
on
the
the
reason why I
channel
do it
for
is
it
because
to
I want to
steal.
make weapons that are cool. Like I watched a
You
video
should
where
talk
this
to Jacob Hansen. He does that.
what?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, maybe I will.
Yeah.
But he made a trident. This guy on YouTube made a trident. And I was like, I just want a trident now. And it's
Yeah.
like you could stab stuff with it. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, there was never a time where I just started doing music stuff. It was just like, I've just always done music stuff. That's always been a thing I like, that's been...
He came out of the womb singing.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents, like I was saying, they really wanted me, and I feel this way for like my future kids someday. I would love to, like, not force them to be interested in music. That sounds bad, but
Just coerce them.
do things.
Don't force,
that
coerce.
Yeah.
Put the musical seed in their brain from a young age. You know what I mean? Introduce them to what music is on a grand scale, so that they really, they have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
to
Well, I
really
feel like
enjoy it.
almost all people to some degree or another love music.
Yeah,
Like,
I love
music. I don't have music ability necessarily.
Yeah.
And that's why I was just an idea person, an enjoyer of the album.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I love music and listening to music and worshiping with music. And so even if they don't like start playing 10 instruments, at least you can show them the love of music and different
Yep.
types of music and styles. And
Yeah. And I see that it's very apparent in my brother and sister too. So my brother's 19 and my sister is 16, and both of them are also really musical. And like my sister sings in choir and stuff, and has a excellent sense of pitch and really enjoys it. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's something about just the way I was raised, and yeah.
I hope your kids like rap.
We'll get into this. Maybe.
Yeah, it depends on how the culture is when
So-
they're born. Yeah,
Yeah. Keep the conversation moving.
yeah.
We've seen Nick's love for music and how straight from the womb he was playing Beethoven's Fifth.
Well, yeah.
Nick loves music so much, in fact, that we're gonna let him tell us about his thoughts on contemporary Christian music. Thoughts that I think are 100% valid, 100%, and it's gonna hurt a lot of your feelings, especially if you're over the age of 50 and you're listening to Life 96.5 on repeat. This might hurt your feelings.
On the radio in your car.
Yeah. But Nick, would you like to talk to us about the state of contemporary Christian music right now and your personal thoughts on it that I agree with at least 98%?
Yeah. So my general thoughts are, I think Christians, like especially like so I grew up in mostly Christian Reformed denomination, and like, not to point fingers, but specifically CRC
But
is
point
guilty
fingers.
of this kind of stuff. Especially since a lot of like radio Christian music, I feel like has mostly CRC kind of undertones to it. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's
You're definitely right.
okay. But like generally contemporary Christian music, I'm just gonna say it. It's boring. It's really boring. Like, and you know, people who are less musical, like maybe it doesn't matter to them, which is fine. And actually, it's probably good because then their priorities are more in order. Like they're listening to it because it's God glorifying music. But that's the thing, is it's not always God glorifying sometimes. And one of my things that I've said before about that is a lot of people just, they listen to the lyrics of a Christian song, and that's kind of how they base whether or not it's a good Christian song. But and they kind of just, they ignore, and this goes for music played in church too, by the way. They ignore the actual music, like the instrumental part of it, and they just listen to the singing and the lyrics, which is fine because like the actual theological meat of the music comes from the lyrics, which but I would say that just there's so much more to music just overall, from a technical standpoint, and just in general, like there's so much more to it than what Christian artists have done. And I would actually say that hymns do a far better job than contemporary music. I'm really not picking on hymns at all. Like, I think hymns, like traditional hymns, that, like, I think we've declined. So, like, music has kind of been, it's been up here, and then contemporary music came in, and then it just went down. It's like artists, they almost are lazy in the way they produce music, and it's kind of, I'm mainly talking about, like, chord structure, just general melody line stuff. I just think a lot of contemporary Christian stuff is poorly written. And I firmly believe that everything that we see in music today, and this goes for like music outside of Christian music, so like just regular secular music, there's some incredible, like super creative, just all around awesome music out there. And I think that that's a gift from God. I think music is the way it is because it's designed that way by God. So then I guess the thing that I've wondered is, like, why do we get really good music that's in the secular world, right? And of course there's lots of terrible music as far as just really vulgar and like lyrically terrible, and you know, that's kind of beside the point. But why is it that we can have really cool, creative, inventive, awesome music that is in the secular world, but then in the contemporary Christian music world, we get like this bland, dull music that is just, it's like almost we've developed this weird feeling over the years of, oh, I'm staying away from these harmonic choices, like, because it's Christian music. And I guess an example I can give of that is jazz, for example. So, like, I've talked to people who, and usually these are kind of older people who are, you know, more conservative and stuff, like more Christian conservative, like really grew up in kind of older church culture. A lot of these people seem to just have an aversion to jazz harmony and stuff, and also just other music styles. And it's almost like they think it's evil or something. Like, I've talked to people where that just the way they talk about it is almost like they think it's like sinful in some way.
Like how Elvis was said to be like rock and roll devil music.
Yeah, no. And to me, I'm just like, I mean, I don't get where you come to that conclusion. It's just they have this weird hang-ups about certain things that they just can't get over. And to me, I'm just like, some jazz harmony, a lot of jazz, I mean, I'm kind of biased because I really love jazz harmony, but that's some of the most creative music you can do. Like, you got 88 keys on a piano and you can do different combinations of them more than just simple major chords. Like most Christian music, it's like usually a 4-chord structure. It's super dull. And I just...
Yeah. Whenever I'm listening to, like... And I'm not going to, like, bash these bands because I have enjoyed their music and still do, but, like, Mercy Me and Casting Crowns, who I love Casting Crowns a lot. But I've noticed that if I listen to their songs, like, back to back, there's, like, a dullness to it of just, like, okay, this sounds... Lyrically, it's different from the last song, but it actually sounds just like the last song.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's the variety? And I think that it kind of... In a musical sense, is watered down, and so it kind of loses the punch that it could have if it was more musically like significant.
Yep.
But instead, it's like now you're just focused on like the words, and I think it doesn't really become like at that point when you're like on your 5th like Mercy Me or Casting Crowns song on the album, and all of a sudden it's just like. To me, it becomes more about the words and less about the music, so then the music is kind of thrown out. So it's like, what am I like really listening to? In the end, like it's still music, but it just feels like it's missing like vigor.
Yep. And another thing I want to touch on, which, and I think this is a thing, not a lot of people, especially people who maybe aren't as musically inclined or whatever it may be, maybe don't hear harmony as much as others.
Exhibit A.
Well, I think there's quite a few people that don't seem to remember that you can represent emotion with harmony. I firmly believe that. Like I think I've told you one time that I think you can represent literally any emotion with harmony.
Yeah.
Like you can play a chord that pretty accurately represents through sound, which is just the cool part to me, certain emotions.
And I think that's like even like doing that is even more powerful than like words of like in like a song, like trying to describe the emotions you're feeling or trying to like let's say you're singing a song about like you're kind of you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death and you're just like really going through it right now. Like I feel like music can articulate that in a way that you feel it and you're actually there with that person rather than them explaining it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good use of that.
Well, when you think of music as a language, it's just, brings that all together because it's just a way of communicating, speaking, and not always using words.
Yeah, like, I mean, an example would be major chords kind of are looked at as happy and minor chords are looked at as sad. But that's the thing, is it goes way deeper than that. There's so many different combinations of notes. Oftentimes ones that you kind of, traditionally wouldn't play together. Notes that you think, oh, that wouldn't go well together. But actually they can be used, at least in a tasteful way. There's definitely, there's things you can play that are doesn't necessarily fit in that context, but there's so many things that you can play that just you get more complicated emotions, because that's the thing, is human emotions are complicated. It goes beyond just being happy and sad. And some of the most complicated emotions of all are within Christianity, like in the Bible. Like just the amount of emotions, if you could name all of the emotions that you see in the Bible, it's insane. So I wish that music would be utilized more creatively, because I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah, one thing I noticed too sometimes, like, I mean, and this generally, I think it's just generally a lot of United States churches, probably.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, like, I'm talking real theological sound churches too. I'm not talking like Hillsong or any of that. Well,
Call them out, got them.
Yeah.
But But sometimes I don't like the reservedness at times. Like I love
absolutely.
to see people really joyously worshiping God. Like
Yep.
and that's sometimes like that's one thing I'm thankful for. Like when I do try to play music personally, like I'm not doing it to show off. I'm doing it because like this is my God-given talent, and I love doing it, and it's just very fun, and I enjoy it, and it's sometimes actually very emotional and a sad, happy, joyous, like many different types of emotions that come out, energetic, fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't see that in churches at times.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it should be.
Yeah, and not to call out a denomination, but CRC, you're guilty of that. Just
Okay, to directly call out.
He's
the
going for their
denomination.
throats.
Well, I think it
Dartboard.
needs to be said because
I would
Don't worry,
also
it won't
lump.
get to them anyway.
I'd lump Baptists in on that too,
yeah, just kind of like this strange.
and not even to shoot shots at our own church, but like I personally, like this is me personally.
Yeah.
I know I struggle because like I have a desire to like lift my hands in praise to the Lord during worship, but you know what holds me back? Social pressure for some
Yep.
reason, and I feel like that's the case with literally almost everyone in our church.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah,
when you're
for
actually
sure.
worshiping the Lord, like when I'm doing it by myself or like in the house with Anna, I look like a Pentecostal.
Yeah.
But the
Yep,
second I'm in a
same.
church in front of people, it's like this is like most I do is like I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want people to really see what I'm doing right now, so I'm just gonna
And
pretend like
sometimes, like I feel like the worship set itself can affect that, because you can get worship sets that definitely don't seem to bring like those energetic emotions or those.
yeah, more like solemn, like more like meditative emotions of just like
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing's wrong with that
yeah.
at certain times, but there's also times that I feel like, like if you want to get into
I
it,
feel like
that's-
engaging your whole self in worship, like physically and mentally, is an exercise that I you know what, maybe this Sunday, if you see my hands up,
Yeah.
this Sunday
But so
is
you'll
not
look
going to be
back
the
in
Sunday
past.
that is going to be this
So we have a
Sunday
couple
for
weeks
you.
to build up to this.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use this
Yeah.
the next
I
week.
think a great example, actually, I see this sometimes. Sovereign Grace music, like if you will look at some of their live sets on YouTube from like services or just stuff they do, worship nights or something like that, like they really look like they have a great time. Like, and
Yep.
it's like, and I know that that's the theologically sound church too, and it's nothing like concert $1 million production Hillsong, but
Yep.
it's like
Got 'em again.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, and that, like I'd like to add too. I know in some cases I've heard there's just been times where it's like the worship band is like playing in such a way that's very
I got a challenge.
technically
Yeah, I
impressive.
got a couple too. I love 3.
Like kind of there's times where you're like, wow, the worship band was really on and they're playing some like pretty complicated stuff. And I feel like there's been times where
Chills.
maybe people kind of get this idea that, oh, that's like you shouldn't go so crazy, like you were talking about, kind of going crazy on the drums and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's people get so worried about like it becoming some sort of just musical production. But I also think it's you shouldn't focus on the music too much, but also the music is really important.
Yeah,
like you want to
it's
have
all throughout the Psalms of like to the choir master with stringed instruments and
Yeah.
all of that, and it's like
I love, like, dude, for an example, I think a great expressive emotion of this, Psalm 34, Taste and See by Shane Shane. Dude, when his voice, like, is insane on that. And I love to hear people express their true God-given talent.
and it's
like,
technically impressive
yes,
too.
it is.
From a
It's
technical music
beautiful.
perspective.
It's so
Yep.
beautiful. And, like, that's the thing. Sometimes I feel like there are times that I've seen in, I'm not saying just, like, our church, but I'm saying other churches, too, where it's just, like, you don't see a lot of times where people are really expressing their God-given talent fully, to its, like, max talent.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not always the greatest thing, because it's like, well, I mean, if they're really good at what they do, I mean, I would say
let them at it.
Yeah, and another thing I'd like to add, which this is not meant to offend anybody, of course, but I think it's important to say. I do think that it's important for it to sound good.
Yeah.
yes.
Like, so I've heard various people say in the past, like, oh, it doesn't matter if the singing is like really off or terrible or the music is bad, because it's just the thought that counts. But I disagree with that. I kind of think that's a bit of a cop-out. Mm-hmm. I really think that, like, you there's ways that you can put in effort to glorify God more. Like, we should seek to glorify God as much as possible. And I think if the music is really bad, for whatever reason it is, I think that's not what we should be striving for. I think it's important that we, like, that the worship band is good.
Yeah.
If you're in the congregation, like, and you're bad at singing,
Yeah, of
sing
course.
Yeah,
Right.
we shouldn't
Yeah.
accept mediocrity. Like,
Yeah.
If you can
help it.
If
Because,
you can
like,
help it, of course. Because not
Of course,
everybody...
there's circumstances
Yeah.
where
Like if
you
you have
have like 40 people in your congregation and you have terrible equipment because
Yeah,
like to the best of
absolutely.
your ability.
When I
Yep.
led chapel at the nursing home over here, they had to accept mediocrity when I was the one having to lead worship.
Right.
Because they put these DVDs in that are like, it's basically like, what do you, karaoke, but with like hymns.
Worship.
And I'm up there and I'm like, I'm going to have to sing so that these people sing. And so then I'm like sitting there and I'm trying to, and for the record, these are songs I'd never even heard in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here trying to lead them, and I told them, I was like, I'm going to step away from the mic so it's not terrible for you guys, but I'm going to I'll try to lead.
Yeah.
And it was awful. It was
Yeah.
scary. I was the worst thing I ever experienced because I'm a bad music person.
Yeah.
But they had to accept it because
Right.
those old folks ain't
Right.
going to like
But
get
yeah,
up there
but
and lead.
like to your point, for the Lord, what's pleasing to Him also isn't like Bailey was saying, isn't how great your voice is or your musical ability. It's
Of course,
it's
yeah.
all the heart. And
Yep.
if your heart is in the worship, then it'll be as good as you can do. Whether
Yep.
that's actually good.
Yeah.
Or, like for me, is it just the reality is it is not going to be something that is ever going to be recorded, my
Yeah.
voice, that people want to listen to. But if I sing with my heart, like I'll do as good as I can, and if it sounds good, then great. But it's a pleasing sound to the Lord
Yeah.
because it's my heart. He doesn't care about if it's, I don't even know what key and pitch and all them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Ian-
okay. Yeah.
Ian-
I
Blib.
think I loved Justin's sermon that he had. It was definitely over a year ago now, but he talked about secular music and just saying, like, we can find enjoyment in God's talent that He's given to His people.
and common grace.
And common grace within, like, other secular music. And I mean, like, of course, I think, well, you love what, John Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah, you love John
Yeah.
Denver, right? And he's not specifically a Christian artist
Right.
or anything, but like
Yeah.
I like 21 Pilots, and Justin likes the Beatles.
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, like, it's not bad to listen
Fake.
to secular music. Now, of course, if it's like a cuss word, the F-bomb, every word,
right.
like, no matter how good the musical quality is, the harmonies and stuff, you probably shouldn't be
If you like
listening
the
to
reel
that.
it
music,
in.
listen to the instrumental.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not bad to listen to little Take Me Home Country Roads and Abbey Road album and stuff like
so
that.
many songs about roads.
Is there a 21 Pilots song about roads?
Lane Boy, technically.
Lane Boy.
There we go.
Yeah. But anyway, I think, should we start wrapping it up here? We got an urgent message from someone.
What was that urgent message?
I don't want to out him. But
I'll
was
out
it him?
myself. Ready? Here we go. I drank this water during this podcast, and you know what that makes you do? Have to go to the bathroom.
but before
It's the
we
sound of trash.
before we close
It is
off
the sound of trash.
before we close off the topic, are there like any Christian artists that you recommend their music that you enjoy?
So, and this
Besides
is
the
a-
Pontification Pals band.
It's a weird thing because I don't find myself like I don't listen to that much Christian music. I would say the stuff we pick at West Center is usually very good. We've picked some stuff that I was actually pretty impressed at some of the stuff it had in it. Like I listened to it and I was thinking, wow, that's like actually like they tried to use chords that kind of broke the I guess the norms and stuff, because like there's certain types of harmony that I would say is like kind of not really, doesn't really fit the mold of Christian music very much. And when you hear artists use that kind of harmony and stuff in their songs, it's like, wow, they actually did it.
Yeah. Good.
And usually it ends up being really good. So I would say any of the stuff that we do at West Center, I think is really pretty good stuff.
And Keith Green.
Sovereign Grace Music, Kristen, Keith Getty.
Yep.
Shane.
Keith Green.
Yeah, so we do.
He'll take care of the rest.
He will.
So I'll give him that.
Yeah, and they have some songs that have some interesting stuff.
Nah, don't give him that.
Yeah.
But if I had to recommend one, it's Keith Green. Listen to Keith Green. He's
He'll
really
take
good.
care of the rest.
He'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, Keith Green is cool.
What's the Moses one?
What do you mean? That's in that one.
Oh, that is okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
I like that one.
Anyway, I think we're gonna wrap it up so that we can
Yeah.
get me
How about
home,
let's-
get you to the bathroom, get Bailey
me
to his
work on-
fiance, get Nick or Noah
I'm
to
Noah. Nice to meet you.
get Noah to his
Work.
whatever you
schoolwork.
do.
Thanks.
Whatever you do.
I don't do
I was
much.
going to mention this, just one quick thing. If you really want to hear like some insane music talent, listen to Jacob Collier.
Yeah, he is an example of a person that. So he's not a Christian artist, but if you look him up, he's like just a ridiculous prodigy. He's predominantly kind of jazz based. Not everything he does is jazz, and also I should say, like when I talk about music that goes against the mold, yeah, his music goes against the mold. So if you listen to it and you're used to very traditional things that don't break the mold, you're gonna be in for a surprise. But I definitely, that's kind of what I'm talking about when like going to the upper bound of creativity. And I wish that we did that more in Christian music, because I think you can really glorify God with what He's made music to be.
Yeah.
Like you got all these possibilities.
Yeah.
So
It's a good final
I'm
word.
sure the choirs in heaven are very musically gifted.
Lively. Yeah.
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 Let's do some challenges for the
Do we want
week
to do
and
the
then-
closing Bible?
And then let's let
Oh,
Nick close off the podcast.
Okay,
with his
okay.
verse.
You
do you have a
do-
verse, Nick?
I do not.
Okay, so we'll give you
immediately have
time
We'll
to
give you
get
time.
one while we give some.
You give your
challenges. Want me to
challenge.
do my challenge. I got a couple. Is
Yeah.
that okay?
Do you? How many do you have?
2.
Okay. Yeah. Do your 2.
Okay.
And then I'll do my 1.
Yep. Sounds
Unless it copies you. I don't know if it does or not.
good. I don't
You
know.
can
It might go over a little bit. One of my challenges for the week is to give some. I like this phrase that Justin used in a recent sermon. Full stop encouragement.
Oh yeah.
So versus if you have a tendency like myself and Chase sometimes to have fun with each other, and I would say that we don't pick at Nick in a way to try and make you feel bad about yourself, even though sometimes it may happen that way.
At the worst, it's us trying to get a laugh.
Yeah, at your expense, unfortunately.
That's okay.
But we enjoy having fun together. But this week, give somebody a full stop encouragement. So Nick,
Like
my
overly.
yeah,
Like be
go
over the top
and let
about
it
it.
stop at encouragement, not like a butt or not have any bit of slights of humor or whatever. So
Yeah.
Nick, my encouragement for you is I'm thankful for your gifts in music and how you express that, and are willing to share your gifts with us at church.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Thanks.
And
And I'm thankful
what are you thankful for?
for your friendship.
Oh,
Yeah,
Throughout
I'm
these
thankful for
years.
your friendship as well.
it's beautiful.
Returned it.
Look at that. What a guy.
I really am.
And then my other one was to give some full body worship.
Dang
this
it, bro!
week.
You stole mine. Man.
Oh,
I'll rephrase it so it sounds different.
my other one was
Full
to
body worship.
express your God-given talent, whatever that may be, whether it's music or teaching,
Yeah.
instructing, greeting,
Greeting.
whatever. Because we can also not use our talents to the best of our ability in other ways than just music.
Oh yeah.
We can be a stick in the mud, frowny face, being a greeter or whatever, when you could be a, So,
Yeah.
okay, what do you got?
Do it humbly.
So
Yeah, right.
Do it
not for show.
proudly.
Just do everything you do for the glory of God.
Yeah.
So my verse is...
Wait. I got one last challenge.
Okay.
Noah already said it, but
Sorry.
engage your body in worship.
Yep.
I challenge you and myself.
I can't wait
Lift
to see
a hand.
what this
Lift
Sunday-
a hand
So
up.
tomorrow,
Let your wrists have to be
above.
above-
I say above your shoulders.
above the breast.
Let's go full out and go above the shoulder,
I couldn't.
bro. We've got
Let's
a couple.
start
We have
here.
a couple week head start.
They're Baptist.
We can do that this week.
Okay, I'll
You're
try.
Baptist.
Okay.
All right.
I know, but we got over
Nipple
the card.
up.
Yeah.
We got over the card playing and the no drinking in the Baptist, so we can get over the hand raising. Now we're gonna start a revolution, and it might be an actual revolution of
Yeah.
fighting.
People not liking it. Yeah.
Yeah. What are all them crazy
Anyway.
20-year-olds doing raising their hands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this as a true fan, Saturday at about 3:30 right now, tomorrow at worship, we want to see your hands in the air like you just don't care,
Yeah.
but care.
Yeah, but do
course.
care, obviously.
Do it for
Yeah.
the Lord.
Anyway, we want to.
All
We
right.
can go to your verse now. I felt bad
All right.
stifling the
That's
Lord.
okay.
You know.
So my verse is Psalm 150, verse 4, which is praise him with the timbre and dancing, praise him with the strings and organs.
Yes.
Look at that.
And Nick is
So-
going to praise the Lord this week by dancing with his organs.
Yeah, this is where pipe organs that are
love
kind of a
pipe
forgotten
organs too,
thing
don't
in
you?
churches now. That comes in.
Cough, cough, Hillsong
So,
again.
or just all contemporary churches.
Yeah, but them
where
in
we,
particular.
Yeah.
Real quick fun fact.
Yeah.
My dad's cousin that lives by us in Springs has a humongous pipe organ in his house. He liked to
Does he?
say, there went the nativity. I knew it was bound to
Yeah.
happen at some point. But it was only Joseph. What are you doing? You want help?
I need help.
Look at this action.
I was trying to grab my paper, bro.
What love. Look at how he got up immediately to help his brother in need. This was almost a flashback to the trampoline incident.
I needed it
No.
so that I knew what to say at the end.
Oh,
I could have used yours, but I felt naughty cheating off you.
like this pine.
All right, hurry up.
Anyway, let's go. Let's go. Hit it.
Oh man. Okay, thanks for being on today, Nick.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Love it. So that is it for today. Join us next time on the Pontification Pals podcast. And remember,
Love Christ, love others, laugh lots.
woo!
Remember when we failed and we would do
Off he goes.
laugh often?
Cut
Or
the
laugh
audio. We'll
lots?
be able to hear it.